In this segment, Stephanie Miller welcomes Noel Casler to the program. Noel is a comedian and a former contestant on Celebrity Apprentice. He takes us behind the scenes of what it's like dealing with Donald Trump without the cameras running.
He's a very sadistic human being. You know, he's much sicker than even the world knows, seeing all of his crimes. And I know tons of people that have similar stories. Not tons, but I know a few, and they're their stories, so I can't tell them. But, you know, he was known as a very sort of violent, sort of man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, up till today, you said it's becoming pretty apparent how vast the conspiracy was on January 6th, from the Secret Service agents that were Trump toadies to the DHS and members of Congress. That was a straight-up coup attempt. It was the only the mediocrity of MAGA that made it fail, locked them all up. Yeah, I mean, you know, they keep calling it stupid Watergate or whatever, but I guess that's what's really sort of astounding, right, is that this guy, this bag of trans fats, like, how does he find people like the Secret Service, like you were saying, that they're not even loyal, not even to the Republican Party, right? That's why Pence was nervous, that he finds people that are loyal to the cult of Donald Trump, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I said he's got a sixth sense to do it, and he can find the personality type that it'll work on. You know, remember his chief, Kelly, was a chief of staff who's a good example. Kelly had 80% of that personality, right? He's a Boston guy, he's a military guy, he sort of leans a little racist based on his record. Trump thought he could completely corrupt him, and he couldn't, right? And John Kelly left the chief of staff operation. But most guys aren't John Kelly. You know, most guys give into it, and that loyalty thing becomes like a codependent relationship, because Trump's also an active addict, as I've said. And addiction has its own psychological, you know, it's a family disease, they say, right? So you get sort of drawn into covering for the guy. And Trump is very charming. I know that sounds bizarre, but if you're in his inner circle, he's always puffing those guys up. How's your wife? How's your kids? Let me call them on their birthday. You know, he knows how to sort of make you, you know, sort of cultivate your loyalty.
Ted Bundy was like that. Yeah, very charming. Most sociopaths are very charming.
Right. So exactly. Narcissists are charming. It's part of the whole, you know, psychological bag of tricks that they have.
Yeah.
And can I say one more thing? You mentioned Matt Gaetz. That example of him showing those pictures to other congressmen on the floor of you know, the House, saying, look at this girl I slept with last night. What he was doing, in my opinion, was looking for guys that wanted some of that. He was looking for the guy who was going to say, that looks good. And then Matt would say, well, come by Trump Hotel on Friday night. I'm having a little party in the suite, you know? And then he would hook that person up with a girl, and then they would own that congressman. I think Matt Gaetz was fishing on behalf of Trump.